Welcome to the greatest show in the universe. That's what we are on planet Earth right now. There are crowds like you would not believe watching this planet going through what it's going through right now.
Yes, indeed. They come from all over the universe. And we're putting on a great show today, aren't we?
Especially in America.
Yeah. Woo! Like millions of people in DC. And then people caught 4 busloads with police escort of Antifa dressed up like MAGA being dropped off. And those same people went in and stormed the Capitol building when Senate's going on, and they had to rush away Pelosi and the vice president and all this stuff in the tunnels, to just get them away.
Right.
Yeah, and they go in and they take pictures in the room, and it was so
there is basically proof that these guys are Antifa. And I mean, there was one particular guy with war paint on and a bare chest.
That one's questionable.
What? But isn't there a photo of him from the BLM protest?
Right, but he was carrying Trump and Q stuff there. It was like he was counter-protesting, possibly, and also the tattoo on his chest that people thought was the pedo symbol wasn't. It's a military thing, so that got kind of mixed up.
Okay, that's interesting.
All right. He's questionable.
Okay.
And I did see an interview that he did, maybe in September. And he goes to a lot of, these type of events. And he sounded very articulate. He said he is a white shaman and that he has a lot of power, and he likes to go to BLM things and stuff like that because he shows up and the dark witches that are part of it go, uh-oh. They spook them. So I don't know.
Sounds good. I've just found a tweet from Lynn Wood, who is the one over the last few days has been spilling the beans, man. You have got to go and look at it. I'll put a few of them up on the screen right now of Lynn Wood. This was the very first day, but there was quite a lot after that, finally talking in public about not only mass corruption, but blackmail, and where they get all these political people with a gun and force them to rape and then kill a child. And then they say, okay, now we've got you and you have to do what you're told. This is why Jeffrey Epstein was so rich. He was very much involved in that. He's a heartless man. Him being a pedophile is small compared to what he was actually up to. But let's come back to this tweet now. This has just come out. It was 1 minute ago when I was looking just before our call. It says, it's referring to a guy called Bill White. Bill White, NY, you'll see it on the screen, is an American patriot. Listen to his advice carefully. And Bill White says, to our great American patriots, peacefully enter the U.S. Capitol building, enter both houses, sit in the people's seats, your seats, be heard, fight for us, fight for Trump, fight for U.S., I guess, rather than us, U.S. How about that? Is that what this is all about? So maybe we're talking about Antifa, but if the shaman is one of the first in the house and standing up the front, waving his bare chest about, that maybe the people that are in there really are MAGA people, and this is what they're meant to do: fill the seats, take over the house.
And I saw a video of the people storming the Capitol. And there's one cop walking backwards and he's saying, back up, you guys, back up. And he just continues to back up. Well, with the doors open, they walk up the steps. And there's a point where you can either go to the left, to the right. And the one cop is like, you back up now, you back up. And they're just walking toward him. And he goes one way and they follow him up the steps all the way around the corner until they get up to the top and to the second floor, I think it was. And then all of a sudden there's, all these cameramen there, like in a really old gray-haired guy, a professional, obviously, set up to take these photos of these terrifying people rushing in and doing all this stuff. So there was a big setup going on here.
They must have known what was coming. They must have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that guy White, so why that's important is, I think, was it Linwood or was it Patrick Bryan? One or the other. Both of them are just dropping bombs all over, booms all over the place. And it was a letter written by this guy talking about what happened with Seth Rich. And he takes it all the way back. So if you don't know, Seth Rich was a guy who worked for the DNC, and he was the one who actually leaked all those emails to WikiLeaks. It wasn't the Russians. You already knew that, I'm sure. And he was murdered. And he talks about what specific agents they went through, who hired the two MS-13 thugs to steal the thumb drive from Seth Rich. But Seth resisted more than they expected, and so they ended up shooting him in the back. Well, then comes the story that there was somebody who was a resident at the hospital who said he was resting peacefully that night, and he was totally surprised to hear that Seth was dead the next morning. So somebody came in and finished the jobs, I guess, so that he couldn't talk. And then not too long after that, when the guy who really started this thing, who turns out to be Rod Rosenstein, went to meet with the MS-13 guys to pay them off, they were both killed.
Oh, that's how you pay them, right? And there's no telltale.
That's right.
Wow.
And then it goes all the way up. Why are people not talking about it? This letter was sent 2 years ago, I think. I can't remember, but
withheld
we'll get
again.
a screenshot of it, to Tom Fitton, for one. So he's the guy of Judicial Watch, and he's been showing a lot of stuff, but supposedly he and all these senators had all this information for so long. And then the rest of this letter goes on to say, the reason nobody is going to do anything because Rosenstein is connected to the real power, Pence, Mike Pence. And the whole plan all along, somehow, they got Pence in there as vice president, and he was supposed to become president. And that was what everybody was gambling on. So it goes all the way up to Pence.
Especially after so many assassination attempts, they would have assumed that by now Pence would be the president, right?
Assassination.
like at least 23 times they tried to assassinate Trump. But another thing that we had looked at a while ago, when George Bush Sr. died and had his funeral, that was when we were told, Q had said, watch the wives, and we weren't sure what that related to, but then it became fairly clear it was this funeral, that everyone had their program, at all the different presidents along the front row, and then you had Pence behind where Trump was going to sit. And they all had programs like for the funeral, but inside some of them was a very clear envelope. And then, of course, the cameras are on them all. And some of them were opening them, and some of them would go no response at all, like Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. And the Clintons as well. Jimmy Carter looked really upset because he didn't have one. And Pence got one. Pence's wife.
His wife did.
Yeah, the wife got the envelope. And then the Bushes on the other side, Jeb Bush was the only one that really gave the show away and just went, oh, God. And so we're going, well, what's on it? What's on it? And I was looking at a video a couple of days ago of a guy who has been part of that top administration. And he said he worked under Bush, and he always
This is Janda?
I don't know. It might be Janda?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Janda. And he said that he always hated, working with him. But his colleagues said, no, you've got to watch. And so he saw at the beginning, when everyone's about to sit down, that Pence was hanging out with Hillary Clinton. They were spending all this time together. And Janda's going, that's weird. And then when Trump arrives, he doesn't even acknowledge Pence sitting behind him. So
yeah, he also commented. He commented on that video that Pence was very close with the Bushes.
Yes.
And Janda really hated Bush Sr., said he was just wild and awful.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So he didn't want to watch the funeral, but people said, you got to watch, right? And I think it was the World Series or some, big sports thing. Pence was sitting in the same box with Bush Sr. They were buddies. So we'll see. Puppets. I mean, that would be a very interesting first arrest.
Yeah. It's not a shot heard around the world, though, surely. I don't know. During that video, he was speculating what was on the card, and we've all been wondering what did they read? What was it that made Jeb Bush almost fall apart? And Janda was sort of speculating, but then I saw another video that showed a card. Now, whether it's the correct one or not, we don't know. But it was an official card of the President of the United States, Bush Senior, right, signed at the bottom, and it said, "They know everything. I'm sorry." Signed George Bush Senior.
I saw that. Interesting. Well, what's really, I think, kind of exciting maybe about what's going on, it's so frustrating. We're hoping Pence is going to do the right thing. Of course, we didn't think he was going to, and he didn't. And then the Senate is supposedly like, we're going to figure out this crazy election finally. And then they're all rushed out, right? And then, it's like, to me, it's like, okay, it keeps getting postponed. When is this going to finally freaking happen? You know what I mean? But then Trump comes out and makes this speech, very short, just like about a minute. And he says, be peaceful, go home, disperse, all that stuff.
Right.
Which curiously on Twitter, you cannot retweet it. You can retweet with a quote. You can't like it and you can't comment on it. And then it was completely taken off of Facebook.
Right.
Which matches some one of the cue things of a list of things that will happen, which is, Trump off Twitter, Pelosi or Pence, that list. And then the Insurrection Act, I'll read you this little bit from it. It says, the act provides a statutory exception to the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, which limits the use of military personnel under federal command for law enforcement purposes while in the United States. Before including the powers under Act, so this is the Insurrection Act, the president has to first publish a proclamation ordering the insurgents to disperse.
And there it is.
That's exactly what he did. And boy, they tried to keep that from going around.
So can you fill me in on this? We've got the police, then we have the National Guard. Is that separate from the military?
I believe National Guard counts as part of the military. Because that's why it was significant, because they were in. They were there.
I'd heard they were refusing to, the Pentagon were refusing to put out the National Guard. So if that's the case, does that pull in different kind of military, I wonder?
Well, there was the acting Secretary of Defense put out a note that said, we are sending National Guard to take care of this problem. So
not only that, but massive amount of military aircraft all over America at the moment. Is this it? Is this the time? Are we finally there? I was talking to someone like a couple of days ago going, we've probably been spending lifetimes and lifetimes trying to work our way towards the freedom of the people. Is it possible that we're actually there? Are we really there?
It's so hard. I've been having dreams for the last 2 nights of me trying to get somewhere and carrying things, and I can't get there, and I can't walk right, and then I get lost, and I go back, and my car isn't where it's supposed to be, and the thing is heavy, and and I just want to get there, and I can't, and then I need to go to the apartment building office, but they're closing the office, but I don't know how to get my car, and I still am carrying this heavy, big thing, and I have 2 left over there that somebody can steal, big, beautiful crystals that I need to get back to it. It's just, come on already.
Carrying stuff. That's funny, isn't it? Because I had a whole bundle of dreams like that at one stage, and I took that to mean that I was carrying baggage, and I need to just let everything go. I know what it was, the theme that followed through, and it wasn't, one night after they would come and go, but it was always the same theme that I was trying to drag stuff or organize things, and I would miss the boat, miss the car, miss the train, I'd miss it, because I was trying to take all my stuff or get things organized, or I'd lose my son, would take off on the train, little son, like, mommy, like off goes the train, like, oh no. And I think the theme to me felt like just let everything go, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what the things that I were carrying, wondering was my pet guinea pig from when I was a kid, who I loved. He was just a brown, short-haired pig, nothing fancy, but I would rush home to him and he'd hear me coming and start whistling to me. And he ran loose in the house and was paper trained. And I'd do tricks with him and stuff like that. I taught him to do all these different things. He was the best. And he died defending his family against a terrier. Bravely attacked the dog while his family went and hid in a box. But any rate, so that was my precious thing in the one. And the other one, it was these big honking crystals.
Yeah. So one's to do with childhood and the other one's to do with what? Healing or spirituality, or what do you reckon?
Yeah. Well, I've got a lot of crystals.
I don't. Well, it won't be. It'll be what they represent to you, I guess.
Yeah.
But and you have to let all of that go too. If you have to, like, if this is it, if you have to just let go of everything, right, and don't miss the train, then let's just forget about everything else and just focus our minds on the best possible outcome of this one, of this.
Yeah. I was thinking of the crystals as being like, you know, the burdens we've carried for all those thousands of years, like you talked about, to finally get here. So maybe it does make sense. Just fucking leave them behind.
Yeah, because if time is not linear, then you're living in all those other lifetimes as well. We are, all of us. How many friggin' hundreds of lifetimes are there? I don't know. And then, but they're all focused. They're all kind of pointing inwards at the moment on the tapestry to this one moment where we are right now. This is the moment. Oh. Greatest show in the universe.
Well, it's a lot of action today in this show. That was for sure. Yeah. And more tomorrow, I expect.
Yeah, I'll get this one up really quick because there's probably more to say in about half an hour. See you then.
Exactly. Bye.
Bye.